All right, everyone, it's time to talk about the Epstein release. Yes, indeed, the Epstein files have, well, kind of sort of been released. Link in the description, archived, of course. What we've really gotten out of this is one half things we already knew, and one half new things that are so heavily redacted that they're basically absolutely useless, unfortunately. And this was predictable. I predicted it myself. It's like, the Epstein files might be released today. That was yesterday. And indeed, they were released. But I had predicted prior that because of the nature of the people that are on that client list, you're not really going to see the client list. Indeed, that turned out to be true. I want more. And I think it's not unreasonable to ask the administration to give us more. Now, part of it is legalese. Okay, you've got a list of people who have been to an island associated with child sex trafficking. You have to make absolutely sure that you vet everything before you release it to the public. I can understand that. And I agree with the administration on doing so because, Trump's got enough legal problems as it is. But if you're going to promise people that you are going to release the actual client list, not the airplane travel list, which we already had, not heavily redacted paperwork, which we don't need, if you're actually going to release the client list, these are the people that slept with 12-year-olds on Epstein's Rape Island on Little St. James. If you're going to promise that, you need to deliver on that. Overall, the Trump administration so far has been a success. I have no problem with Pam Bondi, and I think she's probably mostly responsible for the current fiasco here with the Epstein flight files. But if you're going to promise that to the American people, you need to deliver on it, at least eventually. Tell the American people that you are still vetting the material, trying to figure out who actually did something wrong while they were there and who was literally just there for the margaritas and dancing or maybe 22-year-olds or something like that. There's a difference between the two. You have to vet that material. I understand. But you can't promise people full disclosure and then not give them full disclosure. That doesn't look good now, does it? So I'm going to be critical of the Trump administration in a major way on this one. It makes absolutely no sense. Again, you release the same flight logs that were already public knowledge. I mean, you've got like maybe higher grade scans of them, I suppose, or something like that. That's a real important. We already had the fucking flight logs. And then you release things that are so redacted. I mean, I saw one post on Twitter. There's a sheet of paper from the new Epstein release. And it was literally the entire thing was completely redacted. It was a wall of black. And he might have just printed out a sheet of black paper or something like that. It would have been, more economical, I suppose, because there was nothing on it, nothing meaningful, nothing that the public could glean from. And this is what happens within the machinations of government. Oftentimes, things are heavily redacted when they're released to the public. And there's a legal reason sometimes, and there's potentially a security reason sometimes, and sometimes it's a cover-up. And I don't believe that the Trump administration is covering for people that were almost universally critical of his campaign. That's not what I believe. I believe that in this sense, it's more on the legal end. So it's more to avoid defamation lawsuits and stuff like that. But don't promise what you can't deliver. Please don't do that, Donald. That's not a good idea. We want full disclosure. We want to know which celebrities and banks and so forth to boycott and to destroy. And he seems inclined to encourage that sort of behavior. So it's kind of inexplicable that this sort of thing would actually happen. I mean, it's a disclosure without disclosure. It's a non-disclosure disclosure agreement, so to speak, with regards to the Epstein file release. And it's like, well, that's real helpful. Yeah. That's going to give me something to talk about. But instead, the Trump administration, in typical Republican fashion, has gone self-deprecating mode because the only people that are talking about the disclosure are people talking about the fact that it's not a disclosure at all. It's not, oh my God, we got here's the Epstein file release. Here's the top 10 celebrities that screwed a 13-year-old. That would have been great news. I mean, well, it's not great news, but it would have been great for newsmakers, I suppose. It'd be a lot of clickbait and shit like that. But instead, we get a story which is a non-story, and the fact that it's a non-story is the story. It's storyception, if you can believe it, and it's rather sad. But it was also rather predictable. This is what I said would probably happen. You're going to get a bunch of heavily redacted shit. You're not getting the client list. Unfortunately, although we deserve it, I'm sure it's there. And part of it might be due to data retention. That is, oh shit. Well, the list disappeared. It's in an archive somewhere, shoved behind the closet or something like that. And all of the servers got scrubbed. I have a feeling that when the Trump administration was incepted, and this is no fault of Trump's, by the way, that there was a lot of stuff that went missing in the weeks beforehand. Just, just a feeling. I have a feeling that that may have happened. I think that most of you probably suspect the same. But anything that they can release should be released. It should be full public knowledge. We want to know who went to Epstein Island. That's all we're asking. It's sort of like a celebrity goes to Panama or something like that. The flight logs will show that. You just went to Panama. You've got nothing to hide, right? There, you didn't do anything wrong there. The fact that we know that you went to Panama is not a problem, therefore, right? You were just there for the food, or maybe to see the canal, or whatever the hell. You were there for a basketball game. But if you've done something wrong, you may not want public disclosure on the fact that you went to Panama. And look up the Panama Papers, by the way, for an example. That's about all. Peace out.